If you're installing laminate flooring or vinyl plank flooring and you're planning on having an installation without using transitions in the doorways, then this is the video series for you.
So that's how you do that.
Hey, Joel Latenda here. Now this is the next video in my series, where should I start installing my laminate flooring or vinyl plank flooring? Now be sure to check out that series to get all of the videos that are in this that I'm going to walk you through, showing you how to get through your installation without using transitions. I share a ton of tips in this series. I'll walk you through step by step everything that you're going to need to know to get through your installation. Now in this video, I'm going to show you how to extend your main line that we talked about in the last video into other areas of the house so that you can have a seamless, transitionless installation. So here, let's watch. Let's do a quick recap of the first video in this series. I talked to you about how important it is to base the hallway off of your installation. And then I showed you how we center the hallway, and now we're going to snap a line down that hallway so that we can use this line to lay out some planks in there and see what it's really going to look like before we commit. And I installed some planks all the way across the hallway so we could see what size piece we'd have on both sides. You see that we had a really small piece, it was like 1 inch, so I decided to remove one plank and move this section of planks over a half a plank, making the piece on each side grow considerably, so we had a way nicer look to this. And then I talked to you about the importance of making sure that a plank doesn't end or have to go around both sides of a door jamb, and how difficult that would be for you to continue your installation into another room, and how you should end that plank somewhere inside the door jamb. Now this video is called Where Should You Start Installing Laminate Flooring or Vinyl Plank Flooring, and you can find a link to that at the end of this video. Okay, so now that we know that I'm going to move this over a half a plank, I'm going to make a mark here and I'm going to make a mark down there, and then we're going to snap this line and we're going to extend it throughout the living room. So because it's a little lighter right here, I'm going to do this right here. I actually made another mark down there, but I just want to show you. I'm just coming across this line. We're going up here. And you can see I already made that mark there too. You were watching me earlier. So I'll just circle that. Now, we're going to snap this line. And what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to extend that line to about right here. So I'm going to come up to about right here. I can still see my line. If you have more people, like 3 people work with you, then it makes it a little easier too, but I'm getting my line on there. Okay, so you can see I'm on my line right now. Hey guys, I want to stop right here and I want to show you the drawing of this installation that we're working on, and I want to talk to you a little bit more about this in more detail because the main line is very important. It's super important, and I want to make sure that we get this right, and I want it to hit home with you and be sure that I explain this in the best way that I possibly can. Alright, so I just want to show you on this drawing. So we have our marks made that we're going to re-snap this line. This line that we have down here right now is the first line that we snapped, and then we decided we wanted to move it over the half a plank. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to take our chalk line and we're going to re-snap this line. Now I want to just give you a couple of little tidbits about snapping the chalk line and how you can really use this in a way where it's not going to be a problem for you, and make sure that you have a good grasp on the line before you snap. So if you just take the line and you wrap it around your finger twice and then use your thumb to hold it on your mark, same with the person on the other end, get it wrapped around twice and then just hold it on the mark, and then you can pull it nice and tight, and you're going to get a good solid chalk line there that's not going to move on you when you pull up and snap on it. And you do want to pull this line nice and tight. And so I would put my finger right on each of these marks, okay? And then I would take the chalk line before I snapped and I'd pull it up. So if this is the chalk line, I'd pull it up and I'd move it back and forth a couple times, then I would set it right back down. Okay? And that is just going to help you make sure that it's not hung up on something. Like OSB, which is a subfloor. It's the chipped subfloors that you'll see in your house. A lot of times a little sliver will be sticking out, and the chalk line loves to attach to those. So anyway, once you get to that point where you know your line is good to go, then just snap that line. And I want to talk to you about this. Now, I've kind of put this line off a little bit so you can see that I'm not perfectly on. You want to make sure that your chalk line is perfectly on with your marks, and that is why I would hold my thumb right behind those marks. I was able to bring my chalk line out past this corner, so I have access to an exterior wall here. And if I even would have went a little farther, I could have had access to this side too. Well, not everybody's going to be able to do that. And this is a method that I'm going to show you right now that I use in all the time. And you can use it when you are transferring lines in other areas of the house. Now, later on in some of these videos that I'm going to walk you through on how to start, get you going, where you're going to start, so you can avoid working backwards, you need to transfer reference lines into different areas off of this main line. Meaning, if we were going to start in this room over here, we'd want to get this reference line over in here for us to use to be able to get our plank straight in this area. And then if we worked this way and we needed to get into this bedroom, we would need to transfer this line into this bedroom so that we know when we're coming into this room. Like, let me just draw this here real quick. So if this is our first row of planks coming into this room and we're not using transitions, we are using these reference lines as a guide to keep our plank straight. So we don't go off with our plank into other rooms. So this would be straight because this would be attached to all the plank if we were installing into this room. So we know this would be, but over here, this would be moving back and forth, and we wouldn't really know how to get it straight unless we had a reference line to measure to. So if we measured from here to that line, whatever the measurement was there, we'd want to come back here and measure from the line to the plank to get this straight before we secured this. And again, I talk more about that later on in the video, other videos. So be sure to be looking for the videos that go with this series. I would measure from this chalk line to the exterior wall. Whatever that measurement is, I would come over here and measure from this outside wall in the same amount. So if this was 15 feet, I'd come and measure 15 feet from this wall, and I would make a mark in the floor. Now, this is just a reference, okay, that we're going to use as a guide. The next thing that we want to do is we want to get a dry string line. So you should buy one of these because you're going to need it. Now, this is a dry string line. It has no chalk on it. This is like a 100-footer. It probably costs $3. You can get it at Home Depot, Lowe's, pretty much anywhere. You want to get one of those. And now what you want to do is you want to come on your line here that you snapped your line, and you want to put a screw right in the center of this line. So if you put that screw in the floor, leave a little bit of it out, okay? And you want to take the string line and tie a loop in it so that it attaches, or it can just attach to the screw like that, and then it can move back and forth, okay, nice and easily as a pivot point. So now you have that screw in there, and we want to take that string line now and extend it from here and check it on this line. So let me come up here, get my string line stretched out. Now the nice thing about this is you don't have to have, you could do this with one person if you attached the string down here when you think you're on with another screw, but if you have a second person while you're pulling the string this way, now they can be looking to make sure you're on this line. That's what the goal is stretching that string out and moving it around and trying to get it exactly on this line. Now this mark down here was just a reference point. If that mark did not line up perfectly and you weren't on that line when you were on top of that mark, then you'd want to adjust this string until you were on this line. This again is just a reference line down here to show you where to stretch it to. Okay? Once you get it so that that string is perfectly over that chalk line, just take a marker and go right underneath the line down here where you're holding it and make a mark on the floor. Okay, so now we have our mark here. We're ready to extend this line. We're just going to come in a couple of feet here on this line right here. We're going to put our chalk line down on top of it after we wrap it around our finger. And we're just going to do the same on the other side. And now we're just going to finish snapping this line all the way. Don't come way down here and snap this entire thing all over again, because then you might have a double chalk line in here. Just come in, like I said, a foot or two and measure and snap from here the rest of the way. Now you have your grid line all snapped, ready to go, ready to move on. And so with that, let's move on, and I'll kind of show you this while we're out in the field on an installation. So here, let's watch. So I'm going to come up to about right here. I can still see my line. If you have more people, like 3 people work with you, then it makes it a little easier too, but I'm getting my line on there. Okay, so you can see I'm on my line right now. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to snap it. Okay, we on?
Yeah.
We're on? Okay, so now, I know I don't really have too much farther to go. I could probably just extend this line. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this outside wall. And I'm going to measure there as a reference first. And I got 166 3/8. Now I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to measure off that wall again. 166 3/8, and I'm going to mark that there. Now this just gives me a reference. I can still extend that line and make sure it's on, but I kind of got a good idea where I need to be down here to make sure it stays straight. So now he's going to go on his line down there, right on the line that we snapped, and now I'm going to try to extend it off of this line. I just got to see if I'm on. It looks like might need to tweak it a little bit. So that wall might be a little crooked compared to the hall. So you can come here and see. You see how far off I am? That outside wall is off that much. But I'm just using this as a guide right now. I'm really going off of that line, and I was using this to try to get me close. So now I'm going to snap. That's our line that we're going off of. Okay, so you can see how easy this is. A couple of really good tips in there that I shared with you that I use when I'm out on the installation. Now remember these, because you're going to need them later on in your installation when you start transferring these reference marks throughout your house to be able to continue your plank on. Now with that being said, well, let's move on to the next video where I'm going to show you how to use this grid line, this main line that you have now, and go through the installation real quick, measure things up, and make sure that we're not crooked somewhere where it's going to be just a total eyesore. So make sure you watch this next video in this series. I'll see you over there.
That's how you do that.
And then put the loop of the string right over. You should have put it on silent, Joe. It's your deal. Oh. Now this is the only math that you really need to do. Everything else can just be either written down as you go, or you can just use your tape measure, and I'll show you that. So 7.5. If you divide that by 3, that's 3 3/4. Okay? So 3 3/4. I'm gonna just write that down in my plank here. I want to